So in essence, based on the engineering analysis by the developers, they've indicated that the operating and maintenance cost of the line was estimated at 3.7% per annum of the replacement value of the line. So for this particular one, that amounted to a figure of 14.5 million. The estimation is the same for all of them. I just wanted to just raise that in terms of the reading, so that it reads better, is 3.7% of the replacement value of each line. So, Chair, with that, I'd like to hand it back to you for a decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Mr. Gumede, although you have introduced that all of them are pretty much the same, but what I think for our records, I'm going to then ask the members to comment on 5.1, and then would you still be introducing the other ones, or should I then move on to 5.2 and 5.3?
Chairperson, I'll just introduce the names of the others.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Members, we have a submission in front of us, and that was given by the chairperson of the Electricity Subcommittee. Any questions, comments, enhancements that we would want to make? I've got your hand, Mr. Sibanda.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to Mr. Gumede. Chair, the correction that has been made in terms of what is being applied for and what we are requested to approve, I suppose will have to be effected to the actual licenses as well, because they talk to a distribution connection facility. So that needs to be corrected as well. But Chair, I was just fascinated by the fact that it would appear that there seems to have been some confusion with all the three facilities, but I'm speaking specifically to this one, but it also applies to the other two, regarding the delivery point. And I'm not sure what led to that. It just seems odd that all of them would have the same kind of mistake in terms of where the delivery point is. I'm not sure if Mr. Gumede is able to shed any light around that. What's leading to this apparent mistake or confusion as to where does the line originate and where is the connection point? Thank you, Chairperson. Otherwise, I'm happy with the recommendation, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Mr. Gumede, I think it may be in line also with what we had discussed earlier. If we could really try and use the definitions that are in the Act, or if they are not in the Act, maybe the ones that would be found in the grid codes and the others. For example, the definition of generation facility that is in this document, I don't know if it is found in the grid code or somewhere else. Same as some of these definitions. So as we approve, I would want us to try as much as we can to stick to the definitions that are in the Act, because then there is no confusion around where this thing that we're approving gets its definitions from. But with that, Mr. Gumede, if you could also just respond to what Mr. Sibanda has asked. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good guidance from both yourself and Mr. Sibanda. Firstly, in terms of that definition, clearly, yes, that will be corrected, Mr. Sibanda. So the mention of distribution connection facility, that will be corrected, and will actually it will be called for what it is, how it is defined in the Act. And I think maybe can I just jump to your comment or request, Chairperson, is that I can't agree with you more that unfortunately sometimes the tendency is that yes, the applicants may have applied for something that they understand it, but it is incumbent on us when we then issue a license that we stick to what we have a mandate on. So the mandate is clear in terms of what we of the facilities that we are actually allowed to license, which is generation, transmission, and distribution facilities, and those are defined entities in the Act. And we should, as much as we should, actually just stick to it, because even if we confine the definition, even if we change the definition, we may confine it to something that perhaps the Act had not envisaged. We will definitely do that, Chair. So in terms of enhancement, before this are issued, we will then request the team to just go through each of those definitions in there and make sure that, as you indicated, that they are clearly defined, that it's what is in the Act or regulations, or it's in the Greek code. We will definitely do that. Chair, I will invite Mr. Mkhize to assist me with that question on the confusion. I did ask it before ELS. There was an answer, but I can't for the life of me quite remember what the answer was. But there was an answer. If I can just, with your permission, Chair, request Mr. Mkhize Jr. to assist me with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Mr. Mkhize Jr.
Yes, Chair. Okay. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Mavuso.
No, I thought you had not joined, Willile, because you just needed the link now, so you can take over.
Okay. No, thank you, Chair. On that one, Chair, if you look at the RFD on page 2, point number 6, it is explained that initially the applicant had incorrectly stated that they would be connecting at an incorrect facility, which is Lily Hook Solar Facility. Sorry, at Woolworth Drift Switching Station, whereas the actual delivery point was Lily Hook Substation. So we raised that in a meeting, and then subsequently on 9 October, they did provide an application whereby they specified the correct delivery point, which is at Lily Hook Substation. That's 1.5 kilometers away from the point of generation. I'm not sure if there's anything else to be cleared, Chair.
Mr. Spanda is going to re-ask the question, but the way I understood Mr. Spanda is that the point of delivery in all three of these, but we can talk about this one. Mr. Spanda, please clarify.
No, Chairperson, you are correct. So this apparent mistake happened with all three of them, and so my question was, what surely it can't be a coincidence. There should be, something that's maybe not clear. I'm not too sure. So I thought maybe the team would actually be aware of what's going on here, because they can't all be confused as to where the delivery point is. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Spanda. Mr. Mkhize, may you help us? Please go to the point in your submission that talks about the delivery point and confirm to us that that is the delivery point. Mr. Mkhize?
Chair, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I believe the confusion, Chair, was with the applicant in terms of how the labeling is done. When you connect to a particular substation, there's a certain way that the substation where you are connecting is labeled. So he thought that it will be labeled according to the substation where he's delivering, whereas it's supposed to be labeled as per where the the line is coming from rather than where it's going to. So I think that was a confusion, Chair, but I think that was corrected and he provided a revised application.
Okay, Mr. Mkiza. So on the documentation that we have been provided, please take us to the point where you are saying that this that they are saying for this particular application is the correct connection point.
In the RFD, Chair, it's stipulated point number 6 on page 2. Let me just
Chair, if I might also assist, it's actually there's a schedule 2. The schedule 2 actually gives the detail for each of those facilities. That's where the actual delivery point is actually indicated.
Thank you, Mr. Commander.
Thank you, Mr. Mkiza. The schedule 2, Mr. Sibanda, just I mean, if you look at the definition of the connection point, it just says that it's a connection point as listed in schedule 2. Are you following, Mr.? Are you satisfied or answered, Mr. Sibanda?
No, Chair, I'm answered, Chair. I'm just hoping that it's not going to be a recurring issue where every time we have these distribution facility licenses, then we have to always correct applicants in terms of where the correct delivery point is. It just appeared odd to me that all of them would have this same problem. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Thank you. Colleagues, any other questions or points to be clarified? If none, may I then take you to page, please help Mr. Gumeda, that page with the recommendations is the recommendations are on page, I think,
page 2 of 19.
Yeah.
Page 2 of 19, Chair.
Thank you. So we are requested to approve the Klipfontein solar facility electricity distribution. Can I just assume that we are approving that the Klipfontein facility is issued a license to operate a distribution facility, and the conditions are attached as Appendix 1, and the reasons for decisions as well are attached as I think Appendix 2. Can we rephrase it like that? And we are also approving the draft reasons for the decision, which is attached to the Annex A. By raising your hands, colleagues, please indicate if you're aligned. Ms. Masetti, Mr. Kumete, Mr. Sibanda, Mr. Bia, Mr. Mane, Advocate Stolle, and Mr. Mkize. Ms. Mpungose, are you aligned? Yes, and Ms. Mpungose, thank you.
Yes, Chair.
The license, or the decision to approve the issuing of the electricity distribution facility license and the conditions, the reasons for the decision, as well as the actual license is approved. Thank you. Mr. Gumede, may you take us to 5.2?
Thank you, Chairperson. As indicated, this is very similar to the one that we've dealt with, but perhaps I'll just read to the record, and hopefully I'll be able to read it properly, Chair, because it is we need to be able to read it for the record to reflect what is in the Act. So we are actually just here as the subcommittee then to request the Energy Regulator to approve that Lily Hook Solar Facility Pty Limited be granted a license to operate an electricity distribution facility with the conditions that are actually included in Appendix 1 of the reasons for decision, and also approve the draft decisions and the draft RFD as attached herein as Annex A, with all of the changes, Chairperson, that have been recommended before. That is to make sure that we align all of the definitions to the definitions of the Act, regulations, or any of the codes which have been defined based on that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Kumete. Members, any questions, comments on this one? If none, members, may you please indicate by raising your hand if you are approving the recommendations as read out by Mr. Kumete. Got Ms. Maseti, Mr. Kumete, Advocate Stolle, Ms. Mpungose, Mr. Bia, Mr. Spanda, Mr. Mkiza, and Mr. Mane. Thank you. The license or the application for the license to operate a distribution facility by Lily Hook Solar Farm has been approved with the conditions and the reasons for the decision. Thank you. Mr. Kumete, 5.3.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is the last one of this group. It's again similar to the two that we dealt with before. In essence, but in this one, we are requesting that the Energy Regulator approves that Sona Blomo Solar Facility Pty Limited be granted a license to operate an electricity distribution facility with the conditions that are attached in Appendix 1 of the RFD, and that the regulator also approves the decision as well as the reasons for decision, which are herein attached as Annexure A, again with all of the changes that have been indicated in the two items above. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Kumete. Mr. Mane, I assume that it's your hand from the last voting. Thank you. By raising our hands, colleagues, may you indicate if you are approving this or if you have, but let me start if there are any questions, because as Mr. Kumete had indicated, these are similar. Any questions from the members? None. In that case, may we raise our hands to indicate that we're approving this. Mr. Mkize, Mr. Kumete, Ms. Maseti, Ms. Mpungose, Mr. Mane, Mr. Bia, and Advocate Sithole. Thank you. We have approved the issuing of the license to the Sonoblomo solar facility. Thank you. Mr. Kumete, I think 5.4 is the minutes. Is there anything that you would like members to take note of in the minutes or emphasize?
Chairperson, I don't have anything that I'd like to emphasize. I'd like to take the minutes as read and just they're here for noting. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Kumete. Members, any points, items that you would want to clarify from the minutes of the Electricity Subcommittee of the 3rd of October 2023? If not, may I request the members if you could just raise your hand to indicate that you are happy to note these minutes. I've got Ms. Maseti, Mr. Mane, Advocate Sithole, Mr. Kumete, Mr. Spanda, and Mr. Bia, and Mr. Mpungose. Thank you. The minutes are noted. Colleagues, we are going to move on to the next item now on the agenda. This is a report from the chairperson of the Piped Gas Subcommittee, the regulator member primarily responsible for pipe gas regulation at NERSA, Ms. Maseti. Ms. Maseti, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the first report that I have is the application from SLG Pty Ltd, and this is the application for the maximum price of gas. The period is 1st July 2023 up until June 2024. Chairperson, the Pipe Gas Subcommittee deliberated on this application, and it has approved a maximum price, but that maximum price will be adjusted on a quarterly basis. And what we see on page 1, Chairperson, of the covering submission, we then see table 1, which is the first quarter of the maximum price. You will see the components that are changing. If you go to the second table, that, for instance, the cost of gas will come down a little bit. So those are the cost of gas and the maximum price that the Pipe Gas Subcommittee is requesting the Energy Regulator to approve. Chairperson, nothing much has been raised during the deliberation as the PGS, except just the table that deals with the trading cost. To the extent that there were errors between the figures that NERSA had and the figures that we obtained from the applicant. And it was purely because of the the Excel spreadsheet that we used. I would like to take the members to paragraph 4.2, just to point out the error on page 4 of 28. So we just want to sort of delete the wording there on 4 just see. Paragraph 4, we'll just clarify to make it clearer there. If you look at 4.4, the base maximum price, which is supposed to be adjusted, we can't mention there the adjustment is based on the cost of gas, but we'll make it much clearer, Chairperson. There are things that are just not clear, and I'm afraid I don't want to sort of mention figures that are confidential, but we just want to make it clearer. So you'll realize that on 4.2 there are two suppliers there. There's supplier in paragraph A, subparagraph A, and there's another supplier in paragraph B. So usually we'll also look into a sort of the weighted average cost, since there are two suppliers to this licensee. So that is the first thing. And then we will also just do some consequential changes on paragraph 5.6 of the RFDs, which is on page 19, and then delete 5.6 and replace it with 6.5, Chairperson. So I just wanted to read out those for the record, Chairperson, just before the decision. These are just things, Chairperson, to make clearer and also to emphasize the guidance that came from the PGS. So these are things that I just picked up from my preparation. Otherwise, they're not substantial, Chairperson. With that, Chairperson, I will request then the energy regulator to approve the maximum price for SLG starting from the 1st of July 2023 up until September 2023. The maximum price is 137 for traders, and for end users is 147. And then that is the first quarter. The second quarter is 132 per gigajoule and 142 for end users for gigajoule. So they will be adjusted on a quarterly basis. They're exclusive of VAT. Discounts are allowed, but they must comply with Section 22 of the Gas Act. And the decision of the energy regulator becomes effective on the day of the energy regulator making that decision, as well as that the licensee is required to apply for the next maximum price 4 months before the expiry of the currently approved maximum price. We also request the energy regulator to approve this decision, as well as reasons for decision as attached in Annexure 8. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Masetti. Members, we have in front of us the SLG P2I Ltd application for maximum prices for the period 1 July 23 to 30 June 2024. Any questions, comments, points to be clarified, or enhancements? I do not see any hands from my side. Faye, any hands that you identified from your side?
None, Chair.
Thank you. In that case, colleagues, may I then take you to the decision that's on page, it's page 8 of that. I think it starts on page 7 of 28. As read out by Ms. Masetti, we are approving from 7.11 right up to 7.18. Please raise your hand, colleagues, to indicate that we are approving this. Mr. Mkhize, Ms. Beer, Ms. Masetti, Ms. Semane, Mr. Kumete, Advocate Sitole, Mr. Spanda, and Ms. Bungose. Thank you. We have approved. Ms. Masetti, take us to the next one, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the next one is the sister company of SLG, the one that has just been approved or considered by the energy regulator. So this one is SL and then CNG, compressed natural gas. So it focuses on a different sort of business. So, Chairperson, on this one, again, the licensee is requesting the energy regulator to approve its maximum price of gas for the period July 2023 until to June 2024. Again, Chairperson, if you look at Table 1 that we have there as a summary, you will see that we looked at the quarter there just for purposes of transparency and for certainty in terms of the adjustments. So you'll see the components that make up the maximum price. And as we also indicated, this is a slightly different business model for this company, and we normally just look at the petrol price as well as the diesel price because it's used for vehicles, and then we just do the conversion there just to see how competitive the price is. So that's the one thing that I would like to emphasize. And then also the second period from October to December, the components are shown there that make up the maximum price, and the maximum price is 308. We just request the energy regulator, then Chairperson, to approve that the maximum price as well as those quarterly adjustments, and to approve that such price is exclusive of VAT, and the discounts are allowed in line with Section 22, and that the decision of the energy regulator becomes effective on the day that this maximum price is approved by the energy regulator, that the licensee is required to apply 4 months before the expiry of the approved one, and we ask that the RFDs as well as reasons for decision be approved. Chairperson, just on Table 7, I would like to bring the attention of the members to Table 7. Table 7 deals with the comparison of the trading cost, the calculations, and this is the table where the PGS focused on. So the calculation of the margin, they still is sort of a little bit of not inaccuracy per se, but it's an issue of the rounding off, just in case members of the regulator pick it up. So the rounding off, the actual work there is I can't put the number, but Chairperson, I just want to point you there. It is the issue of the rounding off. I can't mention the figure for the work, but it is still, correct, Chairperson. It's just the other sort of figures after the last figure that you see on the work there, Chairperson. Otherwise, everything else is correct. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Maseti. Members, we have in front of us the SN CNG application for a maximum price for gas for the period 1 July 2023 to 30 June 2024. Any questions, comments, enhancements? None. In that case, may I request that we raise our hands to indicate that we are approving the recommendations by the Pipe Gas Subcommittee as read out by Ms. Maseti. I've got Mr. Mane, Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Gumede, Mr. Sibanda, Ms. Beer, Ms. Maseti, and Advocate Sithole. Thank you. The application is approved as detailed in page 7 to 9 of the submission. Ms. Maseti, we are ready to go to the next item.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the next application is from Kwande Gas. Kwande Gas imports directly from Mozambique. It gets its gas from Mozambique and brings it to South Africa. It also applied to the energy regulator for its maximum price of gas. Until June 2024. This is sort of a company that is sort of in terms of the directors to the last two companies that I presented earlier on. On Table 1, you will see the summary of the components that make up the maximum price, starting from the cost of gas, the trading margin, as well as the profit component that make up the price of gas. Chairperson, there are no substantial issues that were raised at the PGS on this application, except just the calculation of the trading margin. There were just some sort of slight inaccuracies there, and it is purely because of the manual calculation errors arising from the Excel spreadsheet that is used. But all of that, Chairperson, did not change the numbers, and Table 5 shows now the corrections that were made in respect of this application, Chairperson. So there are no issues in terms of this, Chair. I would like to then recommend that the Energy Regulator approves the decision as well as the reasons for decision. If Chairperson, you can kindly read them out for the record, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Maseti. Members, first, any questions, comments, or enhancements on this submission? If none, Faye, may you assist with reading this for the record for Kwande Gas?
Thank you, Chair. Will do. Just getting to the page. It is recommended that the Energy Regulator approve in 7.1.1 Kwande Gas.
1 second, I'm not sure. Mr. Mkize, is this your hand for a question or comment? Mr. Mkize?
It's just a comment, Chair.
Yes,
that, my understanding is that when these are highlighted, they must be struck through then to be clear that they are considered to be confidential, the figures. Just that comment only, just to make sure that that is kept standard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Ms. Maseti, may we implement that they're highlighted and struck through so that we are. Thank you, Ms. Maseti. Please go ahead, Faye.
Well done, Chairperson. The Energy Regulator has requested to approve, firstly, Kwande Gas's maximum price of 105 Rand and 12 cents for the period 1 July to 30th June 2024, as reflected in the table. And the second one is to approve that the maximum price will not be adjusted, but will remain the same for the approved period until 30th June 2024. That the approved maximum price is exclusive of VAT, that discounts are allowed and must be applied in accordance with the non-discrimination provisions of Section 22 of the Gas Act, that the date of the Energy Regulator's decision on this matter becomes the effective date of the maximum price for monitoring purposes, and the maximum price will remain effective until the date of approval of another maximum price by the Energy Regulator, that the licensee is required to apply for the next maximum price 4 months before the expiry of the currently approved maximum price. And finally, the decision and reason for decision document attached to the submission as Annex A. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Faye. Members of the Energy Regulator, may you please raise your hands to indicate that we are approving the recommendations as read out by Faye. I've got Ms. Maseti, Mr. Komete, Mr. Spanda, Mr. Mkize, Ms. Mbungose, and Ms. Simane, and Advocate Stoller. Thank you. That is approved. Mr. Maseti, you can take us to the last one.
Thank you, Chairperson. The next one, Chairperson, is the application from Evras Highfeld Steel and Vanadium Pty Ltd. It is the application for the maximum gas price for the period 1st July 2023 to 30 June 2024. That first paragraph there, Chairperson, is not 2223. It's an error there. So on table 1, Chairperson, it just shows the components of the maximum price, the cost of gas, trading cost, as well as the profit component. Chairperson, there were no substantial issues that were raised at the PGS on this one. However, I would like to draw the attention of the members to table 5 on the trading cost calculations, Chairperson. There are slight variances there that were sort of picked up, Chairperson, on those figures that you see there. They are very, very slight, and I think some of them are caused by the sort of rounding off. if you look carefully on table 5, but they don't change the decision, Chairperson, that was made at the PGS, and also the figures themselves. The other point that I wanted to just draw the attention of the members to is a figure on the total assets, and that is on table 9 on page 22. I can't mention it, Chairperson, but it's on table 9. It is again just the error there in putting the correct total value of the assets, Chairperson. Otherwise, other than Chairperson, there are no other issues. The figure is confidential, Chairperson. I could have pointed it out, but I would like to just make members aware that there is that slight error there on table 9. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Maseti. Colleagues, members, any questions, points to be clarified? If none, I think Ms. Maseti, I think we in the pipe gas subcommittee there were these comments and questions and points that needed to be changed and made accurate, and I think that in the other submissions the corrections were made accordingly, but I also have to say that from my perspective I'm disappointed that in this one those corrections have not been put in or have not been done properly, and I would want to request that we do not have a repeat of this, because it's not like we didn't see it in the subcommittee. Ms. Masset?
Yes, Chairperson, it is correct. Hence, Chairperson, I picked it up during my preparation that there are these other corrections. So the team will have to pull up its socks, Chairperson, and write down all of the things that the subcommittee directed that they be implemented. Otherwise, it becomes a problem if things that are stated by the subcommittee, the resolutions, are not adequately implemented and accurately implemented, and they should actually consult with the Secretariat if they have not picked up certain things. I think that should be the role, Chairperson. Otherwise, it won't be proper. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Masset. Members, I think I'd asked if there are any questions, comments, or enhancements from the members, and I didn't get a hand, but maybe this is a second bite. Any questions, comments? If none, may I then request that with the corrections that Ms. Maseti has made, if we could show by raising our hands that we are approving the recommendations as given in 7.11 right up to 7.15. I've got Mr. Bia, Mr. Mane, Ms. Maseti, Mr. Gumete, Mr. Mkize, Ms. Mbungose, and Mr. Spanda. Advocate Sitole? And Advocate Sitole. Thank you. Then 6.4 is approved as recommended. Ms. Maseti, we still have your minutes to note. Are there any points that you would like to emphasize?
Chairperson, I will take comments from the members if there are any comments or questions of clarification. I have nothing to emphasize from this minutes, Chairperson. I request the Energy Regulator to note. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maseti. Members, any points that you would want Ms. Maseti to clarify on the minutes of the PGS meeting of the 8th of September 2023? If none, may I just request that you raise your hands to just indicate that you are noting these minutes. We've got Ms. Advocate Stolle, Mr. Bia, Ms. Maseti, Mr. Mane, Ms. Mpungose, Mr. Spanda, Mr. Mkiza, and Mr. Kumeda. Thank you. The minutes are noted. Colleagues, we are going to move on to the next part of the agenda. This is now the item number 7 of the agenda. This is the report from the chairperson of the Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee, which will be done by the regulator member primarily responsible for petroleum pipelines regulation at NESA, Mr. Mkize. Mr. Mkize, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'll just quickly take the matter as read. This is requesting the Energy Regulator to consider and approve the 6th amendment of the conditions of the license issued to VOPEC Terminal Durban for the operation of a storage facility in Farewell and King sites. That is be done by adding 2 storage tanks, tank 401 and 402, with a design capacity of 4,233 cubic meters each into the license condition, and then removing the 7 smaller tanks, tanks 414 to 420, each with a design capacity of 1,500 cubic meters from the license conditions, and then to also then update the tank details in the license conditions accordingly. The decision and reason for the document is attached as Annex A, as well as the addendum, which is further attached thereto as Annex 1. The matter was deliberated at the PPS, and then PPS recommended that it be approved by the regulator. Table 1 provides the detail of the current licensing conditions vis-a-vis requested amendment of the tanks. And the figure 1 does show the overall site layout, as you see there, those 7 tanks and the 2 tanks that were previously used for ethyl acrylate, which are now going to be converted to use for diesel. And we're satisfied that ethyl acrylate is not a licensable product, as it is an ethyl ester of acrylic acid and a chemical that is used primarily for the production of polymers. The comments are indicated under Table 3 by the PPS, and as I said, that I take the matter as read, and then we'll await any questions or comments from members. Thank you. I'm done, Chairperson. Maybe you're muted.
Apologies. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Members, this is a submission by the Petroleum Pipelines Subcommittee on the VOPEC terminal in Durban. Any questions, comments, or points to be clarified? None, members? Mr. Mkhize, for me, I would want to just recommend that, on clause number or paragraph 13 of the submission, if we could remove that first part. I think that first part really is an internal comment, and it does paint it does not paint a good light on the rest of the team. Can you see it on page just below the table? The first part, in fact, even the font of that one is different from the rest of the paragraph. Mr. Mkhize?
Oh, thanks, Chairperson. You're highlighting
paragraph 13.
Yes. I note that one, which is an internal matter, just to try to explain. So we'll take it out. Thank you.
If the other members are fine with that, I'm making that recommendation. I also assume that you are fine with that recommendation. I think it's internal, and I think we can have a better way of explaining things when someone has not been around in the office. Ms. Ngube?
Chairperson, I understand your correction, but however, for the record, can I have where that paragraph is going to begin with, if Mr. Mkhize or yourself can assist me with that for the record, please, Chair?
Mr. Mkhize, have you got any recommendations on where it should start from?
I'll just say that maybe just to rephrase it, to say that despite delays due to unforeseen circumstances, the team managed to process the confidentiality submission in parallel whilst awaiting additional information. Just to rephrase, to combine those first 2 sentences into one.
Thank you. So, Ms. Ngube, I think Mr. Mkhize would also just forward you rephrase the part of that paragraph, but we will remove paragraph 13.
Noted. Thank you.
Colleagues, if there are no other comments or inputs, may I then request if you could indicate by raising your hand if you are in agreement with the approval as listed. I think it was on page 10 of 10. I've got Mr. Mane, Mr. Bia, Advocate Stolle, Mr. Spanda, Mr. Kumete, Ms. Mpungose, and Mr. Mkize, and Ms. Maseti. Thank you. The VOPEC amendment, sixth amendment is approved. Mr. Mkize, we have 7.2.
Yes, thanks, Chairperson. Before maybe moving to 7.2, I'd just like to state to echo my appreciation to Madam Maseti for standing in for me whilst I was just on a brief period unavailable on 7.1. That is appreciated. I would
Thank you. I noted that Ms. Maseti has signed most of these submissions, including the other reports that we've had. So, Ms. Maseti, I think I also want to express my appreciation for standing in when the other colleagues have other commitments. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I'll then move to 7.2, which is an updated frequently asked questions, the FAQs on the tariff methodology for the approval of tariffs for storage, petroleum storage and loading facilities, version 5. You appreciate, Chairperson, as well as some of the members of the public, that we have actually updated our methodology for approval of tariffs for petroleum storage and loading facilities to version 5, which tariff methodology version 5 is being implemented now with the period of transition going on until the end of the financial year, and now mainly assisting current licensees and prospective licensees in terms of understanding the matters that pertain particularly on volume rules, as well as the efficiency aspects that pertain to this methodology. The methodology was presented at PPS of the 4th of October 2023, and then there was the issue of in terms of what is presented in Table 1, looking at the comments there and the responses, one of which was actually to provide a simplified manual for the frequently asked questions to assist staff members in the contact center, which is still to be done after the publication of these frequently asked questions. Just one of those. So I will leave it at that. I take the matter as read. As I've said, these are not new frequently asked questions, but they're updated ones in line with what the new methodology or the updated methodology states. I'll leave it at that and await any questions, comments, or guidance from members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkize. As Mr. Mkize has requested, any guidance, questions, comments, members? Ms. Sibia?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Kabazela, for the presentation. Chair, just a question on the issue that is part of the frequently asked questions. The line fill. You talk about it here as saying that it will form part of the net working capital. But for me, it sounds like raw materials, which should be part of the net working capital. But then on your list here, it says it's a non-current asset. How can it be a non-current asset? Maybe if they can clarify for me, because it can only form part of the net working capital if it is a current asset. But if it's a non-current asset, it cannot. If they can clarify for me, my understanding for me, it should be some sort of a raw material. Thank you, Chair.
Did I lose Ms. Via or?
No, Madam Speaker, I think she was done with her question in terms of trying to understand why it is not a non-current asset, the line fill.
All right. Mr. Mkize, please respond.
I will ask Madam Bogo to also come in here. The line field, maybe just to understand, the line field is more of desk dock, but it is essential for the line to be able to operate. So it's more like it's that portion of the product in a line that must be there to push the product out, because what you actually put in at the end of the line is not necessarily what you get, because the line must be full for you to get the first drop that you put at the end of the pipeline. So it's constantly there. It might change in terms of the actual molecules, but it must always be there for you to get the product out. But let me, from the financial treatment thereof, let me get Madam Bogo to then come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Madam Bogo?
Thank you, Chairperson. I think Mr. Mkhize has covered me. We've also treated it as part of non-current assets, and this is in accordance with the RRMs. So this has been as part of Section 176 of the RRMs, put as part of non-current assets. So this is to align with the gazetted RRMs as well. Thank you.
Madam Bogo, can you, with your understanding of both the RRMs and the regulations or standards that Ms. Sibiya was referring to, could you indicate if there is a difference? Because Ms. Sibiya was asking from that, and she may not be. I'm not speaking for her, but maybe the RRMs are not as standard as the other. I know, Ms. Sibiya, your hand is up. Do you want to follow up?
Yes, Chair, maybe I can allow her, but because my question is on the issue that both Mr. Mkhize and the lady that just responded, sorry, I couldn't get your name, they are explaining this as a raw material, which means it should sit in current assets and then accounted for it in the net working capital. But then if in the rules it's sitting in the non-current assets, then in the future it needs to be corrected. Because for me, it sounds like a current asset which should be taking account in the net working capital calculation, but that should be dealt with when the rules are changed in the future, because there is no alignment. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Sibiya. Ms. Bogo?
Maybe if I may come in here from my side, in terms of the understanding, I was just explaining from an operations perspective. The line actually is like non-operational without that line fill, and it should stay with the line until the line working life, the line's working life ceases. So one, for all intents and purposes, can consider that line to be sitting, to be the line in terms of the physical line together with the product in, because the person who's gonna come and put that and want to ship any cubic meter of product will just put that cubic meter only, expecting to get it at the end of that pipeline, and not necessarily accruing to them as working capital. But let me, it's a matter that I would say, if we need to take it offline, then to explain it in terms of how in the RRM it was looked at, considering what I've just said. But I'm still gonna give Madam Bogo to add strictly now from a financial treatment perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. I do then think, Mr. Mkhize, or Mr. Gumede, I see your hand, but I do think, Mr. Mkhize, that at a certain point that discussion or with Ms. Sibiya, both to align and to also maybe get the reasoning why it is used in the way that it's used is necessary. But let me hear Mr. Gumede before you, Ms. Bogo.
Thank you, Chairperson.
I'm a member of the PPS, but I think this is just raising the question asked by Madam Spear for me has raised. I guess the answer provided by Mr. Mkhize has raised a question in my head of who actually owns. I'm concerned that you might find that an asset like this must be reflected in Transnet books. But the question is, does Transnet own the line fill, or was that line fill done by somebody else and it belongs to that person? It is a necessary part, or it's a plug in the system that is required, but who does it belong to and how is it therefore accounted for? Chair, it doesn't have to be responded now, but I think it has flagged the need for a greater discussion on this. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gumede. I do think that Mr. Mkhize and Ms. Bogo would be able to address that, but I still would then also recommend, and we can even make it a matter arising, that if Mr. Mkhize could provide us with an explanation and something that also makes people understand, or makes us understand why it was treated like that. And I'm sure there are pitfalls and other things, but why then the decision was made like that. Mr. Mkhize, would you be up to that?
I would appreciate that opportunity that the team will look at it because there would be pros and cons or those in favor of treating it as current vis-a-vis non-current, but we'll have to provide a balanced view on this one, why we got into the stance that we have taken thus far. Thank you.
Ms. Bogo. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Ms. Bogo, any just additional inputs? I know that we are going to take it further than this, but if there's one point that's burning for you that you would want to make now?
Oh, yes, Chairperson, thank you. I just wanted to confirm that treatment is different from the normal accounting standards. So in regulation, or specifically for NESA, per the RRMs, we treat this as a non-current asset for the reasons that, remember, this is focused on petroleum storage and loading facilities. So some of the licenses would have that tank, what we call tank bottoms or non-pumpable product, which is considered part of the asset. Hence, it is treated under non-current assets per the RRMs. I just wanted to add that clarity. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Bo. Ms. Abia, I was indicating and allowing that we must discuss this. I think some 12, 14 years ago, we had this discussion and we had people who were looking at it purely from the financial and other applicable standards. And we rested on how it would be treated based on a number of facts. And I think it would enrich all of us to revisit that and still see if it's still applicable and whether it needs to be reconsidered. But I think Mr. Mkhize would help us with that and hence I was asking Ms. Bogo to explain that RRMs may not be your standard finance principles. But Mr. Mkhize, we have that as a matter arising. Please educate us the next time. Thank you.
Thanks.
With that, colleagues, may I then request by show of hands if we could, in fact, I think we only had Ms. Via, but may I just recheck? I think Mr. Gumede, you had the follow-up question which would be dealt with in this. Is there any other member that would want to clarify a point or two? If none, may I then request that we raise our hands to indicate that we approve the version 5 of the frequently asked questions. Ms. Masetti, Mr. Bia, Advocate Stolle, Mr. Gumede, Ms. Mbungose, Mr. Mane, and Mr. Spanda, and Mr. Mkhize. Thank you. The version 5 of the frequently asked question is approved. Colleagues, we have reached the end of the open meeting. Mr. Mkhize, your hand is still up.
Apologies, it was lingering. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues and members of the public, we have reached the end of our open meeting, and I would like to once again thank you for your time and thank you for your patience with us and listening to us as we go through these things. And I hope that in all of what we're doing, you have the appreciation that we take our all and we apply our all in ensuring that as we are tasked with regulating these industries, we do it in the best way that we can, and we are in line or following our vision of being a world-class recognized energy regulator. Thank you for your time. The meeting is now closed for members of the public.